Imagine a book written in Ge'ez in Ethiopia foretold the future in the 3rd century. Then approximately 400 years later, you will find the first Muslims. You will also find the first Pope, and you will also find Khazarians converting to Judaism. Then around the 14th century, Portugal started slavery, in which they were in Nigeria, in Lagos, enslaving Africans. Then Spain realized that, yo, they're making a lot of money off of that. So then Spain in the 15th century started slavery. But don't forget, there was a book foretelling the future, in which Exodus is supposed to happen after 430 years of slavery. Therefore, around 2049 should be the end of slavery, because it said the transatlantic slavery started in 1619. So during the 15th century, they went out their way to change around their original words. That's why it says, woe unto those that add or take away from the word. So they want to put the future in the past by saying that future characters died thousands of years ago. And how did they do that? By creating fictional Jewish historians. For example, one named Paul and another one named Flavius Josephus. In other words, they're trying to change the past so they can hide the future. So let's watch who was there and who they represent.
And in Vatican, the statue of Black Peter, a constant reminder of the black rulers of the past. St. Pope Victor III, Pope St. Matthias, and Pope Gelasius were also of African descent.
Don't forget, the King of Spain and the King of Portugal were African descent. So let's watch how they change around the stories. They use guys like this.
And who's Jesus seen on the mountain with? It's Moses and Elijah. Now, there are only two people in the Hebrew Scriptures who climb up on a mountain to commune with God. Moses in Exodus 24 and Elijah in 1 Kings 19. What if when Moses and Elijah walked up on Mount Horeb, time collapsed, and when it says that they talked with Yahweh, they were actually talking with Jesus?
Yo, this guy is so ding-dong. Look, Duke. And it came to pass, as they departed from him, Peter said unto Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make us 3 tabernacles, which means tents, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias, also known as Elijah. Not knowing what he said, while he thus spoke, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. And there came a voice out of the cloud saying, This is my son. This is my beloved son. Hear him. In other words, Elijah and Moses are in the clouds because they are the angels. Remember, Christ's title is the angel of the Lord, while Jesus is the son of a man. The name Moses, by definition, means son or son of. So Moses and Elijah are in the clouds. And there came a voice out of the clouds saying, This is my beloved son, hear him. In other words, Jesus follows the laws of Moses. Why? Because Moses has a higher title than him. And when the voice was passed, Jesus was found alone. In other words, Jesus, being the Son of Man, could not fly in the clouds with his father and his grandfather. Because don't forget, Jesus is the son of Joseph, and Joseph is the son of Israel. But these guys changed the story. So you got Alexander, the Greek, who was first over Greece, had many wars. Then he died, and he parted his kingdom among his servants. In other words, there's more than one Greece kingdom. So his servants bear rule one in his place. They all put up crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root. Well, you got Antiochus, a hostage of Rome, of the kingdom of the Greeks. Remember, it went from Egypt to Greece to Rome. Same people. In those days went out of Israel a wicked man who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. So they want people to follow the heathen. And if they do that, the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, which was said by Nebuchadnezzar, or it was also said by Darius, and it was also sent by Antiochus. And if you listen to the name Antioch, you could literally see is Antichrist, because the Antichrist is supposed to be here at the end of times, along with Jesus and along with Moses. So as you can clearly see, it says, woe unto thee, Babylon and Asia, Egypt and Syria. So this guy who's telling you that Jesus is Yahweh wants us to believe that a Syrian went to Ethiopia and taught them how to be Christians, when in fact Esdras, according to the wisdom of God, ordained judges and justices that they may judge in all Syria and Phoenice, that know the law of thy God, and those that know it not thou shalt teach. In other words, Ethiopians have to teach Syrians. Hello. Stop changing the story. So as you can see in Esdras 1:5, you will find that Joseph is Jesus' dad, right? So Jesus is the son of Josedek, of the house of David, of the kindred of Phares, of the tribe of Judah. In other words, Jesus is family to Phares, who's from Judah. Why? Because Jesus is from the tribe of Joseph. So he has family that's in the tribe of Judah. But either way, Jesus is the son of Josedek. So he's not from the tribe of Judah. He's from the tribe of Joseph. So notice Joseph is the son of David, because he's from the city of David, because he was of the house and family of David. Therefore, David also goes by the name of Heli. So if you read second book of Esdras, you will find that Esdras is the son of Heli. So Joseph is Esdras. And you will find the son of Aaron from the tribe of Levi. The son of Aaron, not the descendant of Aaron. In other words, Jesus is supposed to be together with Aaron and the son of Aaron, as mentioned in here. Esdras the priest bring the law of Moses that was given of the Lord of Israel. In other words, Esdras is Moses. There you will find the God Most High, Elijah, and you will also find Jesus. You will also find the sons of Jesus, who is the son of Josedek. So Josedek has Jesus, and then Jesus has sons. Jesus have at least 2 sons. But they're not telling you this. They're telling you that Jesus is Yahweh. Like, this guy is weird.
There are only 2 people who climb up on a mountain to talk to God. Those happen to be the 2 people who climb up on a mountain and talk with Jesus in Mark 9. In the
See what they do? They use people like him to change the original story. And they use people like this too. And then he refers to these guys, whoever this guy is.
At the Center for the Study of New Testament Research in Munster, it's called CBGM, the Coherence-Based Genealogical Method. And it's tracing not manuscripts, but readings within manuscripts and finding the relationships between the different ones by like computer models. So this is actually the way that like modern era textual criticism is being done, is with the...
In other words, for the future generation, if they don't know the past, they will believe in these guys. But either way, even if these guys do all this stuff, they can't stop prophecy, because we literally to the end of times. Therefore, Exodus is going to happen in like 20-something years.
Atticus in particular, it's a 4th century Greek manuscript. It comes from between 325 and 350 AD, and its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. So my curiosity...
Right, so he goes to Greece. We already see that Greece are the heathens. They're the ones who's changing up the ordinances. So he's part of them, basically.
He's just simply in kind of exploring when you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there. I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up the end of, say Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified, and that's in Codex.
Right, in the Codex, in the Greek version, which is not the original version. Because if you have the original version, which they left out of the King James version, you will find that Exodus happens to the end of time. Because you say, I brought this people out of bondage. Who is I? I is Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Osias, Amos, Michias, Joel, Abdias, Jonas, Nahum, Habakkuk, Sophonias, Aggeus, Zechariah, Malachi. In other words, God himself. For God is Alpha and Omega. Therefore, he has many names. And he tells you straight up, I'm going to give the commandment to Moses, who goes by the name of Esdras, at the end of time. So I, Esdras, received the charge of the Lord upon the Mount Horeb. And if you look up Mount Horeb, just look it up, you will see that's the place that Moses received the commandment. So I, Esdras, received the charge. I came unto them, they set me at naught, and despised the commandment of the Lord. So look for your shepherd that shall come in the end of the world. So be ready to the reward of the kingdom, for everlasting light shall shine upon you forevermore. For it is nigh. In other words, it is near. And there you will find the son of Aaron. You will find Esdras. You will find Jesus, the son of Josedek. You will find Esdras the priest, who is Josedek. And you will find the sons of Jesus, who are from the house of David. In other words, he didn't die thousands of years ago, according to this weirdo.
Sinaiticus, or, the John 19, or any of the other ones. So I think my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently. So actually, are you able to...
In other words, the translators joined together to create the same fake story and just kept adding on to it.
Who exists in the first century. There's a guy named Quintilian who exists in the 1st century BC, and there's this series of writings that we call progymnasmata, which are basically like, how do you do good writing? So he's training people, maybe even individuals like Plutarch, who is one of the best known ancient biographers, and saying like, it's just as important what you don't say as to what you do say, because you don't want to, writing in the ancient world is expensive, really expensive, and
So he's giving excuses to why no one else was writing about Jesus being there when Jesus knows he wasn't there. So he's like, yo, back then it was expensive to write, and that's why a lot of people weren't writing about him. No, he wasn't there. Y'all just making up stories to trying to hide the past by putting it, to try to hide the future by putting it in the past.
And B, you want to make sure that your audience is actually getting the message that you want to convey. And so this is something that when you read like German scholars, biblical scholars of the 19th and 20th century.
Why don't you go to Ethiopia, which has the oldest, most complete Bible? You're referring to everyone else except Ethiopia. Like, I don't know. For example.
Saying that the books of the Bible weren't written for hundreds of years after Jesus' crucifixion is simply unscholarly absurd.
No, it's unscholarly absurd to say Jesus was crucified thousands of years ago, when in fact, Ecclesiastics makes it pure as day when Jesus dies. Jesus, grandchild to Jesus. In the latter times, after the people had been led away captive and called home again, almost after all the prophets, now his grandfather Jesus, as he himself witnesses, was a man of great diligence and wisdom. In other words, the grandchild to Jesus saw Jesus. So Jesus had to live at least 50 years. So the first Jesus died. Then Sirach's son left a book to his own son, Jesus. So that Jesus did imitate Solomon, and was no less famous for wisdom and learning, both being indeed a man of great learning, and so reputed also. So my grandfather Jesus, when he had much given himself to this reading of the law, of the prophets, and other books of our fathers. In other words, the last Jesus comes at the last times, and he will be the grandson to the Jesus that they saying died thousands of years ago. But it clearly says it happens in the latter times. Just like it clearly says Esdras receives the Lord at the latter times, when it will be an everlasting. Don't forget their lies.
The first recorded celebration of Christmas on December 25th occurred in 336 AD during the reign of Emperor Constantine. This date appears
Who never became a Christian.
In a Roman calendar known as the Chronography of 354, which lists December 25th as the day marking the birth of Jesus Christ. Natus Christi.
Remember, Christmas was already established in Ethiopia. Jagai.